new hot and techy Brezza, the Citybird SUV.
Chennai versus Lucknow is match number 39. Wait, again? Yes, they are meeting again. They met on Friday where Lucknow beat Chennai in Lucknow. Now both the teams have taken a flight together to Chennai. What can we expect from this reverse fixture? Let's find out on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPNcricinfo Timeout in the company of Tom Moody, Mitch McClenaghan and Wasim Jaffer. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. That was eventually quite a comfortable win for Lucknow. In Lucknow, they chased down 180 quite comfortably. What would both teams have learned from that outing coming into Chepauk?
Well, I think Lucknow would have gained a huge amount of confidence, particularly with their batting at the top of the order. It gives that whole batting order that sort of comfort that they've got key players that are in form. Chennai Super Kings are always a difficult team to beat, whether it's home or away. So, given that they're playing them again straight away, I think is more in Lucknow's favour than Chennai Super Kings' favour, regardless that it's at home for Chennai or not. So I think the team going as visitors to this particular clash are going to be very high in confidence.
We set that previous meeting up on Friday from the lens of it being 4 points, 4 vital points, because when Lucknow played on Friday, they were 2 points behind Chennai. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, they could go into 8 games played in the season ahead of Chennai and in the top 4.
Yeah, they could. If they lost that game to Chennai, they were back amongst the group who were all bunched up on 6 points, and now they're equal and looking in a pretty good position to challenge that top 4. I think they'll go down to Chennai with a lot of confidence. I think they've got Bishnoi, they've got Kunal Pandya, who started to bowl really nicely, and then they've got the option of Siddharth, who we haven't seen for the last couple of games as an impact player. So even if Chennai throws up the spin-friendly conditions that they did in the previous game that they played at home, they've got the players that can compete in those conditions.
Yeah, and it's worth looking at the 3 games we've seen at Chepauk so far. The first 2 games were on the high-scoring side, but the last outing in Chennai saw Chennai keep KKR down to 137. Jadeja was instrumental. Theekshana got a role in that game. If it were to be that kind of surface, as Mitch says, it does bring Lucknow into the contest a little more.
I think anybody bowling first will have an advantage, because that was a difficult pitch where KKR couldn't find what's the best score on that pitch. They just went hard and obviously played into Chennai's hands. But I feel it should be a good pitch, hopefully. And Lucknow has got most bases covered. They've got good pacers, they've got good spinners if it's a slow and turning kind of a pitch. So I think it's going to be a good contest. They just need to be wary that in the last 3 overs, they let the game slip while they were bowling when they bowled Bishnoi in the 18th and leaked a little bit of runs. Obviously, that was partly because MS Dhoni came and batted like that. But other than that, I think they bossed that game when they played at Lucknow.
I think one of the big challenges for Chennai is if they are going to try to choose a surface that's going to, slightly give them advantage. I think Lucknow's a team that have got those bases are covered. Yeah. If it is a good batting surface, yeah. Quinton de Kock's now in form, so look out at the top of the order. KL Rahul's now in form. You've got Nicholas Purran, one of the best ball strikers in the game, in the middle order, and you've got Stoinis in there as well. So they've got that covered, and we've talked about the spin. So it's a bit of a tricky one, for, with regards to trying to not manipulate, but try to put a surface down that suits them, because I think Lucknow are a team that are quite versatile.
And that's where Moeen Ali comes into it, right? They played in the last game. Your probably biggest threat if they do play a turning wicket is going to be Nicholas Purran against Jadeja or Rachin Ravindra if they bowled him. But now you've got Moeen Ali, who got it to turn in Lucknow. And you'd imagine there'll be more purchase down in Chennai as well. So that'll be a fascinating matchup when Purran comes to the crease. Moeen Ali, I expect him to play again. And how does that little matchup go? And does it fall in Chennai's favour? Do they brave it, spin against Nicholas Purran, or does Purran get on top of them?
For Lucknow, the one spot in question, they've rotated their overseas seamers in the last few games. Naveen went out. You saw Shamar Joseph get a game, and then Matt Henry. If it were to be a more sluggish type pitch at Chepauk, is there a case for Naveen to come back? He also had a good outing here at Chepauk last year in the playoffs.
Yeah, there is a case for him to come back, but also remember that they've got Yash Jha on the bench there as well, so they could potentially bring him in if they want to drop the seamer and play an extra batsman, or they just bring Siddharthan for their overseas bowler, and then maybe look at strengthening up the batting if they think it's going to be a difficult wicket to bat on. So those are all the options. They could have gone with 3 overseas players. Quite a few teams travel to Chennai and play an Indian spinner instead of an overseas seamer, unless you have a good overseas spinner in your ranks. So that's a possibility as well.
I think it may open the door for Ashton Turner, who is a good player of spin, to come in for that Deepak Hooda position, which has been, I suppose, one missing link in that top 6, and it just gives them that sort of greater depth of quality in that top order.
Let's focus on Chennai, and for them at the top of the order, Rachin Ravindra, after a smashing start to life in the IPL, has found it a bit difficult in the last 5 outings. What do we feel is bogging Rachin down?
Expectation. Simple as that. This is a completely different beast, the IPL, to anything else that he would have experienced. He's had a wonderful start to his international career. There's no question of the quality of the player, but stepping into the IPL, he's not the first international to step into the IPL and suddenly be overruled by the whole occasion. I'm not saying that is the case, but it's quite possibly the case. And you only have to look on social media and see what fanfare follows CSK, and he wouldn't have experienced anything like that in his life. So it's living up to all those fans that are desperately hoping and praying that the men in yellow get over the line and play finals again, and MS Dhoni's going to, be in another championship-winning side. So all that mounts to the pressure, and I think Conway's withdrawal also adds another layer of pressure on top, because suddenly it's all on me now. I haven't got my Kiwi mates, arriving in a week's time, and we can share that sort of responsibility.
Yeah, really good point. We saw him do so well in the World Cup for New Zealand, and there's no expectation when you're playing for New Zealand. You don't get that kind of pressure from your fan base or anything like that. So really great points. And then I think as well, he's under more scrutiny in the IPL. Every game, people are doing more scouting. There's shows like this where you discuss what plans you could bowl, and teams are picking up on it. So he's in a position where players and teams are starting to respect what he's done in the last 12 months and then try to find a way to combat that. And that's another challenge he's going to have to deal with.
You yourself laid out some bowling plans after those first 2 games, and clearly some of the teams have taken a look at it.
I think he's derailed his IPL purely by dissecting his technique on this show. Since that point, he hasn't got a run. Don't you think, was it?
That's true, but I'm not going to lay claim to that.
Completely agree.
Is there a case, given Moeen Ali's contribution and what Mitch alluded to, what he can bring in with the ball, and Chennai's middle order has been a bit stop-start barring Shivam Dube, is there a case to try Moeen and Daryl Mitchell, or would you still persist with Ravindra?
I would probably play Mitchell and Moeen as well. I mean, how is the question? But I'd probably leave out Ajinkya Rahane. So Daryl Mitchell gets to bat at number 3 or maybe 4, not later than that. But he's a quality player. The more time he gets, I think it's better for him, and then he can construct those kind of innings. Ajinkya Rahane, I'll probably leave out because he's not shown that same form that we've seen last season.
Thoughts on how they should compose their team?
Yeah, they've got to somehow strengthen that batting order, because there's a few gaps in it from a form perspective, and there's a lot on Dube, and once he falls, not only the volume of runs that he can score, but the rate he scores it is a huge amount of pressure. And we know that MS Dhoni's not going to come in a lot earlier, as much as we would love to see him and the fans would love to see him come in at the 14th or 15th over, but we know that's probably unlikely. I think it's interesting, Jadeja got half-century last game, so there's some form under his belt, so maybe that's the kick start to his batting part of his IPL, and maybe they'll rely on that a little bit more than they have done in the previous games.
And Rahane got 36 off 24, so, it wasn't blistering, but it was definitely a somewhat of a return to form. So I think they'll stick with him for another game before looking at that option, which is a good option, Wasim, but I think they'll probably give him another crack to see before they make a drastic change.
a little bit sort of outside the box. They may table the idea of Mitchell opening instead of Ratchin.
Yep.
Given that he's had a bit of a lean spell, and it's a way to get Daryl Mitchell into the contest. At the top of the order, he's done that before.
They can even drop Rachin and open with Ajinkya, and then bring Mitchell at 3.
Yeah. Any of those combinations, that could work.
Yeah.
All right, let's pick a winner. Who are you backing?
I think Lucknow.
Lucknow to make it 2-0.
Oh, it's hard to back against Chennai at home, so I'll go Chennai.
I'm going to go Lucknow.
Ooh. So Tom and Wasim say Lucknow will do the double over Chennai. Mitch backs Chennai to make it 1-1. Either which way, it should be a cracker. The last time these teams met at Chepauk, both scored 200 plus, and Chennai ended up winning by just 12 runs.
All new hot and techy Brezza, the Citybird SUV.